we're running these events in, in all across North America. We're running these events all across South America and across Asia. We've done this in Tokyo. We've run the same event in Sydney, and now we've decided to, within Asia, to run this event in only Bangkok, in Thailand. So it's being telecast, so not telecast live, but it's being video recorded, and it'll be shared with a lot of people around the world. So for the last time, is everyone excited? Yeah. Good. Let's show the world that Bangkok is excited. So as Kathy mentioned, my name is Ricky Kapur. I'm really delighted to be here. I look after the Asia business for Google Enterprise. And Kunaria talked about the shifts that are happening in the consumer world. I'm going to frame the same discussion more in the enterprise context. So I'll share with you what trends we're starting to see in the enterprise. I'll also share with you a little bit about what Google's vision is and what we're trying to do in order to adapt and cater to these changes that are happening in the enterprise and what our solutions are. And I'll also share with you, the third thing I will share with you is some of the customer stories. So it's good to hear from people from Google, but it's great to hear from customers as to how they're adopting these technologies to drive innovation. So I'll share these three things with you. So from a trends point of view, the web as we know it today has come a long way in the last, well, even just in the last 10 years. But I'm sure you're not surprised to know that currently the online population is 2 billion. There's about 2 billion people online today. That's less than 30% of the world's population. So less than 30% of the world's population is online today. And we see that the next 5 billion that is soon to come online, we see them take a very different path than the first 2 billion. Many of these 5 billion will come from emerging markets like Asia. They're no longer going to rely on accessing the web using heavyweight, thick client PCs, using custom shrink-wrapped software. In fact, many of them will not even own a PC. I think Kunaria talked about how in Thailand itself, the mobile traffic is higher than the desktop traffic. We know that 1 in 3 phones sold in Thailand today is a smartphone. And with the launch of 3G, we see that growth escalate to a whole different level. So we see that the next generation, I guess, the next 5 billion people that will come online will take a very different approach. They'll expect to have their applications just served to them from the cloud. And this is going to have a profound impact in the enterprise. If you think about traditional IT systems as we know it today, and as many of you are experiencing in your organizations, traditional IT systems have really been built with the first billion in mind. With the idea of buying on-premise, highly customized, shrink-wrapped software that requires a lot of training, a lot of education for people to use. It's been designed with a very different paradigm. And what we're starting to see is that paradigm may not be relevant in the future as the next 5 billion come online, because the next generation of online web users in the enterprise, we're already starting to see this. The next generation, they're going to expect not to use highly customized shrink-wrapped software. They're going to expect their business content available to them anywhere they are, anytime, off the cloud, so they're a lot more productive. We're already starting to see that with more innovative companies starting to find this, use disruptive technologies, use consumer technologies to provide that capability to their online consumers, which is their employees. Rather than spend a lot of money investing in expensive, on-premise, capital-intensive applications that require not just a lot of development, but actually require a lot of training. Rather than invest in that, they want to save all that money and use it for more relevant business purposes and surface that content using technologies from the cloud, using consumer technologies to provide that capability to their consumers or their employees. We're starting to see this shift. It's a very disruptive shift that's happening in the enterprise. We're starting to see this shift uh, come right through the enterprise world, right through the globe. And we're starting to see the shift happen all across Asia right now as we speak. I think we're living through the shift right now that we believe will continue for a while. So just to give you some, and Kunaria shared with you some of the local Pi customers who have gone Google, but we're starting to see this global momentum happening. A lot of companies, a lot of innovative companies starting to get geared up for this change in terms of providing this capability. So we have, I don't know if you may be surprised, you may not be surprised, but you may be surprised to know that 58% of the Fortune 500 companies are now using Google, using consumer technologies in the enterprise. And if you look at this slide here, there's some very well-known brands in here. You know, be it ANA, which is a very traditional airline out of Japan, be it POSCO, and I'll share with you POSCO in a little bit more detail later, but be it POSCO, I think it's the 5th largest, maybe the 6th largest steel manufacturer in the world, be it Audi, be it Hyundai, some very large companies are adopting technologies from Google, consumer technologies, in the enterprise. And they're doing it because they're embracing this change that is about to come in terms of providing capability, business content for the new generation of users on the cloud. We're starting to see this across the board. So with that context and with that market dynamic shifting in the enterprise, I want to share with you a little bit about what Google is offering. We'll spend a fair bit of time during the course of this afternoon sharing with you, showing you demos, showing you products in detail. But I wanted to lift up from that for a few minutes and share with you what our vision is, what we're trying to provide in the enterprise space across the board. It's really about connecting people, providing collaboration, technologies that allow people to share information, much as we do in the consumer world. So what we start with is a number of applications that you're very familiar with. You know, applications like Google Apps for messaging, collaboration, Google Maps for visualizing your data, our Google Search. We have a number of applications, and the DNA of Google as a company is to build consumer applications, and we're very proud of that. It's applications that consumers love to use. Everyone in this room, hopefully everyone, I'd wager a guess that almost everyone in this room loves to use applications from Google that we use in our personal lives to drive productivity. These are consumer applications that we use mostly every day, whether that's Google Maps or it's Google Apps and Gmail. But the starting point is the number of applications that you use that is designed for the consumer. You know, it takes some of the most brilliant engineers in the world to build applications that are easy to use, that are fun to use. And that's what the core starting point is. But all of these applications are built on Google's infrastructure. And Google continues to redefine how the web can be used by building the largest infrastructure in the world to provide you massive scale, but also to provide you massive scale at a cost, at such a low cost that it becomes easy for you to do some things in your business that otherwise would be far too hard for you to do. And we'll show you some of these things, and I'll talk a bit about these things, but it's really around providing an infrastructure that is highly available. 99.9% availability is something we commit to as a service level agreement in the enterprise. But providing infrastructure is highly available, highly secure. You know, one would challenge that it's probably more secure than what you can build in-house, inside your organization. So all of these applications are built on Google's infrastructure that allows us to provide massive scale, provide these applications literally at a cost that allows you to do things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. But in addition to these applications, we provide the same platform for developers, both third-party developers, as well as IT developers within your enterprise. We provide the same platform for you to build your own applications. If there's something you want to build that is not catered by one of our applications, you can build your own applications for whatever purpose that you need. And we have a number of customers starting to use our infrastructure, the same scalability, the same low cost, and build their own custom applications. I'm sure many of you are doing that right now, either on Google's infrastructure or doing it in-house. In addition to that, and finally, If there are applications that we don't provide you, you don't want to build, we also have a very large marketplace of thousands of applications that have been built by our partners, by many developers that are available just on a single click that you can download. Again, all housed on the same infrastructure, so you have the same degree of security, you have the same degree of reliability, you have the same degree of unbelievable scale at tremendously low cost. So that's the first thing, a number of applications that we either provide you, you build yourself, or you buy off our marketplace. But the thing to keep in mind, the thing that's really important in the context of remote workers, in the context of this new world that we're starting to see, is all of these applications work seamlessly, by default, as part of the DNA, on any device, anywhere. You don't have to engineer that, on any device, anywhere. And that drives huge productivity in the workplace when you can be working anywhere you are, on a mobile device or a tablet, and being in front of your customers, being in front of where you need to be, but actually connected to your organization and communicating and collaborating with your colleagues. And we'll share this with you. All of these applications are really designed to work anywhere, on any device, so you can be where you need to be and still be connected. So that's the overall portfolio that we bring to market. But in addition to that, and this bit is really important in the enterprise space. In addition to that, what we provide enterprises is a lot of control, a Google administration or a user admin layer, which provides you with a lot of control about how you do user administration, service administration, device administration, how you do analytics on top of that to work out how your users are consuming the different services that you're providing. So it provides the IT organization with a lot of control on how you provide ability to service these devices and users, but allows users, the business community, to work the way we live, across any device, anywhere, accessing any of these services or applications that we either provide or you build or you get from the marketplace. That's a very high-level view, and we'll dive into many of these things during the course of this afternoon. We'll dive especially into the left-hand layer, which is the application that we offer. But that's the high-level view of what the solutions are that we're bringing to market, that we have in place right now, that's really designed around providing this shift in terms of people expecting more content, business content, off the cloud wherever they are. So how are people using it? That's what we offer, but how are people using it? And I'm going to share with you a few case studies. But before I do that, what are they using it for? You know, it's essentially enabling transformation within the enterprise. And transformation is one of those words that is used by everyone. It's used by everyone for everything, so it could be one of those words that means nothing or means everything. So I want to be a little bit more specific about how organizations are transforming themselves using Google's enterprise technologies. The first thing is around pure technology transformation. It's really about, it's the story of the infrastructure. It's the story of the delivery mechanism being the cloud. So because it's running off the cloud, we're able to provide you the ability to be up and running really quickly. You don't have to do a lot of work in putting together the infrastructure on premise, doing a lot of work around being ready with the infrastructure, tuning the infrastructure. We do all that out of the box. So it's all about rapid delivery because it's off the cloud. Irrespective of what the application is, it's rapid delivery. The second thing, and equally important, probably more importantly, is it provides innovation on tap. What that means is you wake up in the morning and you have a new piece of functionality. You have new functionality that makes it easier for you to do your business. Every day you wake up, there's a new piece of capability that's been designed that's available to you. The reality in the on-premise world, is that most companies I speak with, and there's data on this, but most companies are running 2 releases behind on their custom software or on their enterprise software. The problem is you're running 2 releases behind on innovation that you're paying for. With the cloud, that goes away. So you're basically getting the most latest release, and you're getting the most latest release of innovation. Technology innovation also means, technology transformation also means that, you don't invest far too much money on disaster recovery in countries, and this is important. This is important in countries such as Thailand, Taiwan, Philippines, where we do a lot of work, where unfortunately, due to natural disasters, floods, companies have to spend a lot of money building latent capacity in disaster recovery centers that is hardly ever used. You get away with all of that. You just move away and take that capital, move it elsewhere, because in most of our services, we actually replicate the data, your data, 6 to 7 times. So we provide you with that capability, but the first transformation is just pure technology transformation. Doing what you're doing right now, but doing it off the cloud, getting all this latest innovation at a much lower cost. The next level of transformation, I guess, the next thing that we're seeing a lot of companies do, and we'll spend most of our time trying to share this with you, is around business or process transformation. There are a number of things you do in your business, irrespective of what industry you are, whether it's around training and developing your staff, whether it's how you communicate and collaborate with customers, whether it's how you do route planning, whether it's how you do asset tracking. There are a number of processes that what we find is a lot of companies are starting to use consumer technology to transform the way they do that in a distributed workforce. So it's really around bringing agility into the process, sharing knowledge across the process, and it can be done largely because what we bring to market are consumer technologies that everyone is familiar with using. It's around familiarity. People are used to using these technologies, and they adopt it very, very happily. They love adopting these technologies, and we'll share with you during the course of some of the demos that my colleagues will do how many companies are transforming the way they train their staff, the way they collaborate with customers, the way they do surveys with customers, the way they do route planning, the way they do asset tracking. They're transforming all of these processes using consumer technologies at a significantly lower cost and a much higher scale than on-premise solutions can make you do. So that's the second thing around business transformation. What becomes extremely important, and we see this a lot, is around corporate cultural transformation. And we're seeing a lot of companies start to adopt Google technologies around corporate cultural transformation. I spend a lot of time talking to business leaders, and most of my colleagues do spend a lot of time talking to business leaders. And one of the things that we find that business leaders, CEOs, CFOs, COOs, heads of innovation, the thing that they're most worried about, the thing they're most excited about also, is the pace of innovation that is happening all around us. Nowadays, in today's world, if you're not constantly innovating, you're going to be left behind. Or the risk is that you may be left behind. So a lot of senior business leaders want to create a culture of innovation inside the organization. And a culture of innovation is really created when you build around people. When you build a culture, you build systems, you build processes that are fundamentally designed around people. So we see a lot of companies now start to say, what we need to do is transform the way we work. Transform the way our organizations talk to each other, how we communicate, how we collaborate, how we share everything. Because once we build that culture of collaboration and sharing, communication, once we build that culture, innovation comes as a direct result of that. And I want to share with you one of the stories before I move into some of the other case studies of a company that I've worked with very closely over the last year and a half called POSCO. And POSCO is, I'm not sure if it's the 5th or 6th largest steel manufacturer in the world, but it certainly is the largest steel manufacturer in South Korea. And they introduced a project called the Smart Workplace of the Future, SWP. Smart Workplace of the Future was really around design, develop. The concept came from the CEO, the chairman and CEO, who said, we need to change the way we work because we as an organization, we're distributed across the world. We have offices in virtually every country. We have manufacturing in every country across Asia and in the US. Yet, we're not seen, we don't behave like a global company. So we need to change the culture from the top down. We've got to change the way we communicate. And Google was a key part of that. They wanted to bring in a company, they wanted to bring in technologies that allowed their employees to communicate amongst themselves across multiple languages, communicate with their stakeholders, being their suppliers, and their customers in a whole different way. And we've been down this journey, and I'm going to share with you some case study with that. We've been down this journey for a year and a half, and they've started revitalizing the culture. People are excited, they're changing the way they think, they're becoming more and more innovative, which is phenomenal for a South Korean company, which was before hierarchical. So it's around cultural transformation, which we'll share with you. But what I want to do now is around these, I want to share with you 6 customers and 5 transformation. So you hear from people around the world who have gone down this path, and hear from them as to what the value they're getting from this, around productivity, increased productivity, around innovation, around mobility, around ease of use and system simplicity, and around lower cost. So the first one I will share with you, and I won't introduce these companies because the videos actually introduce them themselves. But the first one, the thing that strikes me about this organization, it's a manufacturing company, traditional manufacturing company. And I'm sure there's many of you in this room that are from the manufacturing industry where costs are important, productivity is so important. So they were trying to find new ways to make their people a lot more productive by being where they need to be, but yet being connected to the rest of the organization. So I'm going to move on to the first video. If you could move on to the first video.
Shaw actually started in the mid-'60s. Our facilities and people have always been local, part of Northwest Georgia. A lot of our associates have been here 20, 30, 40 years, and so they have a real passion for the business.
You've got all these different moving parts, from sales and marketing to manufacturing to distribution to the back office. We really want to make sure that the tools that we are providing are going to work any place, anywhere, anytime. Google Apps allows us to blend all of that way of working into one cohesive environment.
I call my smartphone my mobile office. I was checking emails. I've gotten like 10 emails since I've been standing here. As I'm going from point A to point B, a lot of times I'm getting asked a bunch of questions, asking to follow up on different projects. I keep all of my project files on Google Drive, and it allows me to either share or access that information. It just reduces the amount of work you have to do to share information with others.
When we need to collaborate with other countries, we could be working at 8 o'clock in the morning and it's 8 o'clock at night in China, and we'll start up a chat session with them and be able to collaborate with them real time on the same document easily and very fluidly. The miles between us don't matter as much anymore. There is a sense of community that's built that you can't get in email.
Passion comes from the fact that people care about the business, they care about the customer, they care about each other. I think manufacturing is strong in Northwest Georgia. We're going to be here 50 years from now and 100 years from now.
That allows or empowers, in this case you saw the lady who's a plant engineer, to be where she needed to be in the plant, but be fully connected. You notice she had a tablet. She was fully connected on the tablet and could do all her communication off that. That's the power of the cloud and the power of consumer technologies. The next one I want to share with you is a little different. It's around innovation. It's not necessarily about, so it's about innovation. It's about how the cloud and consumer technologies from Google allow you to open up new business models. And a large part of this is not just about cutting costs and saving costs. It's about doing things differently that allow you to get more customers, satisfy your customers in a way that you could never do before. It's about letting the scale and the low cost allow you to build your business in a way that you just could never do before. And I want to share this with you with one of the largest online retailers in the UK.
Ocado is the world's largest online-only grocery retailer.
Each Ocado building caters to about 600,000 people that can get all the food they need from us every week.
I'm Paul, and I head up Ocado Technology.
And I'm Sverker, and I'm in charge of everything we haven't done yet.
We chose Google Apps because we are a 24/7 operation, but we're also a multi-site operation. So we need our employees to be able to access documents, emails, calendar information, and to collaborate whenever and wherever they are. My passion is very much about automation. We're all about making things simple for our customers, but behind that simplicity, there's an immense amount of complexity and technology in order to do what we do. Our business spits out 2.5 megabytes of data every single second. Whenever our customers click on a product, or whenever our vans drive down the road, we're constantly recording those streams of data, and we have to capture that data and be able to process it in a scalable fashion. And one of the key places that we put that is now in the cloud. Using App Engine, we recently built a new version of our Where's My Order application. This allows customers to find out where their order has got to within our production cycle, and once it's on the road, the integration with Google Maps allows them to see exactly where it's got to.
When I'm looking at putting Ocado in other countries, I can see that we can still offer the full range of Ocado services from the cloud, and that's a great advantage to us. We're taking a chore, which is grocery shopping, and we're turning that into quality time with the family.
So online retailers like Ocado are using consumer disruptive cloud technologies to get huge scale, find new business models, and compete with physical retailers. So that takes me on to the next case study, which is around mobile distributed workforce. And this is with a physical retailer, because they're starting to realize that they need to change their own game, or they will not be as competitive in the retail space. So I don't know if how many of you have heard of Woolworths, but Woolworths is one of the largest supermarket chains in Australia. They have over 3,000 stores. They have over 200,000 people. They have a huge distributed workforce, right from their national and state offices right through in their stores. And they've recently moved from being a fully on-premise, in this particular case, Microsoft customer, to moving into Google Apps for 200,000 people, Google Apps, as well as moving away from their thick client, heavy PCs, and moving to a lightweight infrastructure using Google Chromebooks. And essentially what they're doing is they're trying to have all of their workforce able to communicate and collaborate with each other in real time, and we'll show you all this capability, but in real time, irrespective of where they are. Very often, and there's a press release on this that you can go through, that we'll share with you, but very often they have their national managers inside their stores. So they've equipped, using the cloud, using Google App Engine, they've equipped, with an application they've built on our platform, they've equipped these folks with an application that allows them to talk to their customers, solve support problems, communicate with their national and state offices, solve issues, but not actually leave the shop floor. So they're in front, they're in their stores, they're able to see what the customers are buying, they're able to see what the experience is, yet actually communicating, collaborating with the rest of their colleagues to get work done. This is where the world's going with mobile distributed workforce. System simplicity is really around the fact that these things just work. Once you start using consumer technology, things that you use every day in your personal life, things that you use every day and just take for granted, they just work. The traditional IT systems is really around customized applications that take a lot of effort to integrate. These things just work, and we'll share some of this stuff with you as we go along. But I've got a couple of case studies here. One is a local one, which you will hear from later, because from the Thai Parliament. The Thai Parliament had access to over 350,000 different forms of legislative documents, going back right back to 1932. And they wanted to find a way to make this information available to citizens, to academics, and various policymakers. And so they went through a massive exercise around digitizing these documents. But even after you digitize these documents, they don't necessarily become available to people. So they put in the Google search appliance, and they'll share their experience with you. But they put the Google search appliance straight in, and now anyone in Thailand can actually work out, can search for yourself what the various legislative documents are, going back to, as I said, to 1932. Another such example is around Hayes Recruiting, one of the larger recruitment companies in the world. They dropped the time it took to search for documents, search for resumes by 90%. That brought huge productivity to them, but equally, the whole idea of this is you just put it in and it works, as opposed to spend a lot of time and money in customizing this. And finally, around cost management. Cost management is important. And the case study I've used here is POSCO. As I said earlier, POSCO as a company, they went about this exercise not to cut costs. They went about this exercise called this program called the Smart Workplace of the Future to drive innovation, to drive a whole different collaboration. But one of the things that they talked about, and they actually went and spoke with the Korean press about this, is that the first thing that they found was they dropped their cost by 30%. The cost of travel went down by 30% by just using Hangouts, multi-party video, which we will show you in a few minutes. But essentially, they didn't need to travel as much. So the people that were traveling to meet each other, being employees meeting each other, or people across the world, as I said, they've got offices all over the world, but also meeting customers and suppliers, they found that they could change the way they work by using Hangouts and drop their cost by 30%. So a lot of what we're trying to do is use these consumer technologies that you're using every day, that you're living with every day, across Google's platform, with applications or that you may want to build yourself to drive huge scale, low cost, and drive innovation, essentially to work the way we live. So what we're going to do next is go into this in a little bit more detail in terms of the applications that we've got. It's really around connecting, communicating, collaborating amongst each other within the organization, with your suppliers, with your customers. It's around products like Google Maps that allow you to visualize your data, look for trends and patterns in the data that you couldn't do otherwise. It's the platform that we have where you can build your own applications at a much lower cost than you would in-house on-premise. It's the Google Search appliance where you can find information, access information, find information that would otherwise be lost, and it would have to be repeated all the time. And finally, our tools for access that allow you to use low-cost, efficient, agile ways to access the web using Chrome browsers and Chromebooks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now call upon Anish, who's one of our technical folks. So everything we've shared with you so far around some of these applications, we're going to show you working in real time. Everything you see is working on the cloud, is working right now on the cloud. And we're going to try and spend some time more than just talking, showing you how this works. So I hope you have a great afternoon. I hope you find the sessions to be useful, informative. And I hope you're keen to talk with us after that. So thank you very much for your time. Khop khun khap.